Yes, thank you, Robin. We have been in contact with Nora's defense team, and really, we were sad to hear that they were somewhat intimidated by the government, and were told not to hold a press conference in which they intended to inform the public and the international community of what's going on with Nora's case and what they intend to do next. Now, the attorneys had placed a press conference, and they invited journalists from all around the world, including CNN. But to their surprise, when they came to the office in the morning, the Sudanese authorities told them that they cannot have it. Now, the attorneys were placed in a pretty tough circumstances in where they, as lawyers, they know what they can do is legal within the Sudanese code, which is holding a press conference. But to protect Noura and other lawyers in the case, they made a decision to cancel it. But, it's unfortunate that they kept the international community from having legitimate information straight from the people on the ground. So that's what they're telling us. And they are working on the brief, which is due about the 25th, on her appeal.
Okay, and even though that press conference was cancelled, it hasn't stopped CNN from asking these tough questions, and it certainly has increased, in many ways, global condemnation of all of this. So we know that Sudan gets lots of money, millions of dollars in aid from many countries. I want to bring up a list of these countries. Look at them there, from the US to Germany to the UK. This is how much they give to the Sudanese government in humanitarian aid just for 2017. Do you think these countries should be doing more to pressure Sudan to use this aid as leverage to change the laws and to help Noura?
Yes, I absolutely think that they should be doing more in putting pressure on Sudanese, but I wouldn't say that they should stop giving the aid because that will harm other people. Here, this particular case is about Noura, but there could be international pressure on changing the laws in Sudan, in particular making sure that Noura is not executed for being forced to marry someone against her will, which is a violation of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, Article 6.
What would you like governments to do? Because we can call people to action. At the same time, There can be hashtags. But what kind of pressure then needs to be put on the Sudanese government to change?
Well, I'll give you an example. So right now, Sudan is working very hard with the U.S. And with the current U.S. administration to fully remove the sanctions against Sudan, which will bring some economic ties to Sudan. So I think Sudan has an opportunity here to show the international community that it will follow international norms and has an opportunity to show good faith in working on Noura's case. I mean, the government has the authority to pardon her, or at least take this case seriously, not just for Noura, but for people who come after her. Now, our campaign, just as for Noura, we talked about this is the lost straw, because Noura is not the first young lady to go through this, but she was brave enough to fight back, and the consequences of fighting back, as you can see, is a death sentence. So women in Sudan face very tough circumstances. So we'd like a little bit more teeth from the international community in pressuring Sudan in getting these laws changed. And again, like I said, Sudan is a member of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. And that strictly says that a woman should have full consent. Her full consent should be given before she marries. And the legal marriage age is 18, not 16 or 19. I'm sorry, not 16, 18. And these circumstances here, Noura was forced to marry against her will. There was no consent. So this young girl was kidnapped, falsely imprisoned, and then raped, and now she's being executed for standing up for herself and defending herself. So we're fighting not just for Noura, but all Sudanese women and women across the world who face similar situations.
Yeah, and we also must say with the complicity of both families. So a lot of hard questions many Sudanese in the government have to ask themselves. Mo, thank you very much for your perspective. Thanks for joining us here on the International Desk.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.